When Jupiter, son of Saturn, looked down from the heights of heaven, he sighed and remembered the gruesome banquet served at Lycoon's table, a recent event and not yet publicly rumored. Mightily angry, as only Jove can be angry, he called a general assembly, and all responded at once to his summons. In cloudless skies you can clearly see a path in the heavens. Men call it the Milky Way, well known for its brilliant whiteness. This is the road which the gods must take to the mighty Thunderer's royal palace. The well-thronged halls to the right and the left, with their doors flung open, belong to the gods of the highest rank. The common divinities live outside. Right here the elite and heavenly powers that have established their hearths and homes, and this is the place which, if I could muster the boldness to say it, I'd not be afraid to describe as the Palatine Hill of the firmament. After the gods had taken their seats in the marble chamber, Jove, enthroned on a dais and clutching his ivory scepter, shook the awesome locks of his head 3 times and again, so causing the earth and the sea and the constellations to tremble, then opened his lips to give vent to his wrath in the following manner. The fear that I feel today for the sovereign power of the universe equals my fear when each of the snake-footed giants was striving to lay his 100 hands on the sky and make it his own. Fierce as that enemy was, its impetus sprang from a single body and source, but now I am forced to commit the whole race of mankind to destruction, wherever the ocean roars on the shore. By the streams of the Stygian river below, I swear I shall do it. Let other cures be attempted first, but what is past remedy calls for the surgeon's knife, lest the parts that are sound be infected. I have my demigods, all those powers of the countryside, nymphs and fauns and satyrs, my woodland spirits who dwell on the mountains. These we have not yet chosen to welcome to heavenly honors, but let us allow them to at least dwell on the earth we have given them, or do your honors believe their safety is firmly assured, when I, who am lord of the lightning and master of all gods, am the object of plots hatched up by that infamous savage Lycaon? The house was in an uproar. Passions blazed as they called for the blood of the reckless traitor, as, when that band of disloyal malcontents raged to extinguish the name of Rome by murdering Caesar, all mankind was suddenly struck by a terrible fear of grievous disaster to come, and the whole world shuddered in horror. And just as your people's loyal devotion is welcome to you, Augustus, so is his subjects to Jove. A word and a gesture sufficed to control the murmuring hubbub, and all were silent. Then Jupiter broke the silence again to make his pronouncements. Lycaon has paid for his crimes, so far you may rest assured, but let me describe his offense and the punishment meted out. An evil report of the times has come to my ears, desirous of proving it false. I made my descent from the heights of Olympus, and wandered over the earth, a god disguised as a mortal. It would take too long to recount the story of all the wickedness I discovered. The truth was worse than rumor reported. Crossing over the high Arcadian mountains, Maenalus, home of wild beasts, Kylene, and cold pine-covered Lycaeus, I entered the palace of King Lycaon, and ventured beneath his inhospitable roof in the twilight hour of the nightfall. I gave a sign that a god had come, and the common people turned to their prayers. Lycaon began by mocking their piety. Then he said, "Is it a god or a mortal? I'll settle the matter by using a simple test. There will be no doubt where the truth lies." His plan was to make a sudden attack in the night on my sleeping body and kill me. This was his chosen method of proving the truth. Not content with that, he applied his sword to the throat of a hostage sent from Epirus, and under my own protection, and while the man's flesh still held some warmth, he roasted part of it over the fire and poached the remainder in boiling water, then set this repast on the table. My moment now had arrived. My lightning of vengeance struck, and the palace collapsed in ruins, on top of the household gods, who shared the guilt of the master. Frightened out of his wits, Lycaon fled to the country, where all was quiet. He tried to speak, but his voice broke into an echoing howl. His ravening soul infected his jaws. His murderous longings returned on the cattle. He still was possessed by bloodlust. His garments were changed to a shaggy coat, and his arms into legs. He was now transformed to a wolf, but he some signs of his former self, the grizzled hair and the wild expression, the blazing eyes and the bestial image remained unaltered. One house has fallen, but more than one has deserved to perish. The demon of madness is holding dominion the wide world over. You'd think that the human race had joined in an evil conspiracy. This is my sentence. Let all of them speedily pay for their crimes. Jove has spoken. Some fueled his anger further by cheering loudly, while others simply expressed their approval by clapping. But still a murmur went round. The loss of the human race will be widely deplored, and what will a world bereft of mortals be like in the future? Who will bring to our altars the offerings of incense? Is earth to be left to the mercies of ravaging wild beasts? Such were their questions, but Jupiter told them not to be anxious. He would take care of the future, he said, and he promised to breed a new race of miraculous birth, unlike the people before.